Cancer Ascendant, Cancer Rising. How are you doing? This is G, and I'm going to walk with you together through your November energies, some of the October frequencies. We had 2 full moons and a new moon, 3 big planets standing still and then going direct, and they were all in Earth, your tangible, your material, your financial world. It's the things you can see, it's the things that you depend on, it's your financial securities. Mars squaring the Earth energies, cardinal fire, cardinal Earth. Capricorn energy, that's where Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter are. And we had Mars over in the Aryan energy, and they were like, stress, tense, testing, and tension. It's a time of being able to really show our mastery of who we are. Even though these are tough times, they're not gonna last. Astrology is the promise. You can see it on paper that no matter what's going on, it's gonna change. It will move. It's a cycle, it's a season, and we're gonna get through this as well. This too shall pass. Mars in Aryan energy, that is all over in your 10th house of your career, your job, your responsibilities. It's your responsibility to lead something. When you're in the workplace, like it's your profession to be the leader of something. It's your profession to be out front, to be in front of everybody, to be initiating, to be starting. Some people with this placement, Cancer Ascendant, Cancer Risings, they feel like it's supposed to be them always starting a new career. There's an idea of having Aryan energy there because Aries is all about starting and being very passionate about starting something, being very fiery about it. Feeling as though because you're fiery and passionate, it makes you desire the energy of going not only higher, but you understand that going higher, every time I embark on a new professional journey, I'm going higher. I'm going higher and higher and higher. So what you're doing in essence is every time you get to a place, your ears are always open for other opportunities, for other things to start. Because there's this understanding that you have a responsibility to not only start and initiate, but to, with every initiation, it is somehow the next step. It is somehow the next rung on the ladder for you. It's not going to be at the same thing. It's not doing the same thing. You somehow perceive it as being a higher notch. Okay, I'm doing more at this job, or I'm learning more, or I'm getting paid more. It's another step up. It's not the same thing. So there's always like this vertical climb going on, and always this desire to climb vertically. There's always this desire to constantly be starting something new with the thought that it will take you to the next rung on the ladder. Mars has been sitting here in retrograde motion. So that means it's been very powerful, and it's been adding to your power, to your frustration, actually. Because Mars, all the time it's been here in your 10th house for this year, this season, for 2020. Because realize Mars will be back here again, right? Mars isn't super slow. It will come back around. So you'll get another opportunity where your Mars will feel more free, where it won't feel like its hands are tied, because it's been squaring the Capricorn energy. And the Capricorn energy for you is in your 7th house, right? And so this is significant one-on-one relationships. There has been something going on in your significant one-on-one relationships, whether this is business partnerships, or whether this is like a marriage partnership, or just committed one-on-ones, where there's been angling up and squaring intensely with your ambitions, with your goals, and with your career. Now, you may have a little bit of that Capricorn energy in your 6th house, actually, depending upon your chart. So if you don't know and you want to know, comment your birth digits below. I will help you figure that out. I'll just tell you the answer. Because if it's been in your 6th house, if any of it's in your 6th house, if there's 5 degrees of Capricorn energy in your 6th house, it's been your health that's been squaring your ambitions. It's been your health that's been slowing you down. And that's the difference of knowing whether a sign is in your 7th house or your 6th house. The 6 is your health. It is your job as well, right? It's your job, the health of your job, your daily routines, your health routines, your hygiene routines. But that's all been angling your ambitions, your career goals, your drive, your passion, your ability to start something new. It's all been squaring that. And what that does is it makes this Mars up here in your 10th house of your profession, of your career, very frustrated. Mars has the idea in its mind that it needs to just go, go, go. It's very fiery. It's very passionate. It wants to fight. It wants to never stand still. It wants to constantly be on the go, constantly be moving. And in the 10th house, that means it constantly wants to be climbing professionally. It's frustrated because it can't climb. It's stopped. Or I should say it was going like this, right? Because it was climbing, but then all of a sudden it hit this wall, right? It was like, oh, there's this glass ceiling here and I can't get any higher. For some reason, I'm stuck. And that is a feeling of frustration then. It's a feeling of frustration. Mars gets angered easily. Mars gets impatient easily. So you might find that in your jobs, in your professional career, you may lose patience very quickly. You also would lose interest very easily in a job because for Arian, and that's the energy you have there, your Aries energy is in that 10th place. When something's new, because it's the child of the zodiac, right? And what are children when you give them something? They love something new, right? It's all about the newness. Oh, I've never had this before. But then 5 minutes later, that thing you just gave them is sitting there on the floor in the corner and they're not looking at it anymore. It's like they're already done with it. Their attention span with it is very small. Therefore, you may find that your attention span with jobs and careers that you take on may just never, it burns out fast. You know, it's like that brightest flame thing where it goes out first because Arian energy is all about new, all about adventure. And if it's not new, well, it's not new anymore. Therefore, there's no excitement involved in it. And half the adventure is exploring. That is where half of the excitement is for Arian energy. And understanding that will help you because what that means is you need to incorporate staying power. You need to find something in a career in that placement where it helps you to sustain the excitement, helps you to sustain something new, helps you to be able to reincorporate new things into a job, into a career, whatever it is you're doing, so that it always feels like you're doing something new with that career. And there may be something in that for you that you can take going forward. And I hope that there is, because Mars will stop its retrograde. And we're going to get into that. And that happens in November. That frustration and that tension is what October is all about. It is Mars squaring with Saturn and Neptune. The people, right? The power of the people, our actions, our bodies, hearing, we can't do something, hearing, no, you can't do this, hearing, there's a stop, there's a standstill. There's all these things that happen that we just get frustrated by. Your significant one-on-one relationships and your careers is where tension is, but that's not all. That's not all. There's also that same tension and frustration happening in your home, in your 4th house. And I say this because there's this great cardinal cross that's occurring. It's all the cardinal energies, right? It's Libra, it's Cancer, it's Capricorn, and it's Aries energy. They all create this great cross. And this has been a cardinal cross for all of us in our lives. But when we have the end of October, there's this full moon. And the full moon at the end of October is in the sign of Taurus. And it's at 8 degrees, right? 8:38. So it's really 9 degrees. But knowing where your Taurus energy is in your 11th house. So this is friendships. This is groups. Now, full moon typically means an ending of something. Could there be an end of a friendship? Could there be an end of a group? Think about this. The 11th house not only is groups, it's your tribe, but it also represents the internet. People that you have, relationships that you have, that you value on the internet. There could be a culmination, right? There could be a light shown on something. Bring something to your awareness, a piece of information you didn't know before. All of a sudden, you decide, well, I'm kind of done with that. It's played out. I don't want anything to do with it. It was nice for a while I had it. It was, it served a purpose, but it no longer serves a purpose for me. And this could be with a person. This could be with a group that you belong to. But typically, there's going to be a surprise involved, not just for you and not just for me, but for everybody, because this full moon that happens on October 31st is on top of a planet that represents shocks and surprises. After November 3rd, more information is going to come out because Mercury went back, retrieved the information that it didn't have, picked up the nuggets of knowledge, took them forward and brought it back. Yes, after the election in the United States. Because I'm hearing this loudly that I have to talk about the bigger changes, the bigger energies of October, even though this is a November reading. Capricorn, it was Pluto, it was Jupiter standing still. This happened in your 7th house of significant one-on-one relationships. The 7th house is my partnerships. This can be business partnerships, but it can also just simply be people that you talk to on a one-on-one relationship, right? So these can be people you're very close to in your life, but it could be consultations, right? So it could be professional in that way. But anytime you're having a real good sit down, you know, where you're having a heart-to-heart, a one-on-one thing, and anybody that you talk to in that way, anybody that comes to you in that way, where they feel like when you two talk, you're really talking. When you two talk, they know they're being heard. Now, typically, you're going to do this with people in your life who are older than you, or who appear older than you, or who you look up to in a way as somebody who is wiser than you. Even if they're not chronologically older, they somehow seem older, they seem wiser, they seem more mature. So typically these are people who are authority figures. You look up to them in some way. So this could be a parent in your life as well. Having that Capricorn energy in that house, having those planets stand still like that, there's this change all of a sudden. A change happens. And so when this change occurs, it doesn't feel so good. All of a sudden there's a switch up. And when that happens, it squares your emotions, it squares you, your ascendant, it squares your midheaven, it squares your ambitions, your goals, your professional ambitions, your professional goals, and it squares the home. It squares the relationships in the home. That you're not the only one going through the difficulties. That person in your life that's creating those difficulties is also going through something difficult. But this is a time when we are being asked to show our mastery. So it's understanding our Aryan energy, understanding our personal borders and boundaries and limitations, what is good for us. It's also understanding our relationships, our significant one-on-ones, who you really value, what's being asked of you professionally, and what's being demanded of you by the Capricorn energy, by the authority figures in your life. Really learning how to wear and smooth out those edges, those angles, because that's what gets created. A 90-degree angle here, a 90-degree angle here, and one here. And so it creates these very pointy corners. Over this experience, when we have all this happening through this experience, end up smoothing out those corners, okay? And so for you, this is, again, this is your goals and ambitions, professional goals and ambitions. This is at home in your significant one-on-one relationship. This too shall pass. When arguments, when conversations get heated, remember, you're heated and they're heated. We all have Mars going retrograde. We all have Mars making us feel like we want to fight and we're not going to back down. So what we have to do is somebody has to be the adult. Who will it be? Who will step back, will see what's going on, will be aware of how anxious, how fiery I am, and realize, okay, they're the same way. And well, two flames coming together, that's a lot of heat. Do I want that heat? Am I going to fight this fight? Or can there possibly be a better time to fight? Pick and choose a battle that you're actually up for. Not every battle is your battle. And that is how we grow Mars up. By teaching Mars, not every battle is your battle. And Mars for you is sitting over there in your 10th house of your career and your ambitions. It's not just you that has that energy, but it's people that are up there, that are in that placement, people who are your authority figures. They're going to be very fiery and they're going to be wanting to show their power. This is a big deal. We have Pluto standing still. It's all in the Capricorn energy, all in the 7th house, all angling and squaring your 10th house, all angling and squaring your life at home. So this is difficult for all of us, but we shall persevere. We shall get through because in November, Mars ends its retrograde. Mars stops at 15 degrees and then it moves, okay? But it will not get out of the sign of Aries until December. So we're not through the rough waters yet, okay? October and November still show some rough waters. Now, along with these rough waters, with Mars squaring Pluto, squaring Saturn, and squaring Jupiter, we also have to deal with Neptune and the North Node. Okay, Neptune in the North Node. This is important, and I want you to pay attention to this because I want you to be able to take this knowledge. All right, this is universal information coming in. All right, and this is important. And what happens with Neptune? Neptune's water. Okay, Neptune is a 5D energy. It has the ability to dissolve 3D energy. 3D is things that we can see. Okay, so here's 3D, and here comes Neptune. And what does Neptune do? Look what it does. Look what it does. The lighter is gone. Neptune dissolved it. It disappeared. Just like that, there's no more lighter because Neptune came through. The Neptune waters came through and the lighter disappeared. Neptune dissolves, but Neptune is water. Neptune is also the sign of the pandemic. Think about that, okay? It represents pandemics. Now, Gemini energy is talking, thinking, speaking, and relating. And the North Node in Gemini will square with the Neptune energies, okay? So Gemini also represents social media, right? And so we know in the United States, TikTok disappearing. We can't ignore that Gemini energy is also our ability to speak. When we think of the body, what does Gemini rule? It rules the lungs, all right? So when we have water and the lungs, this also has, when we think of this, we think of the virus, right? We think of people being on ventilators. We think of pneumonia. We think of pandemics. And so we need to be aware of that. We need to be we need to make sure we're taking care of our health, taking care of making sure we're practicing our best health practices for moving forward if we already aren't, or because we've been doing it for a while now, we get lackadaisical, right? We say, oh, you know what? This pandemic's been going on. I don't have it. My friend doesn't have it. I don't know anybody with it. Is it even real? Just understand that I'm telling you what I'm seeing here as far as the frequencies. Understand that it's coming in very strong for me to share, to say there is this angle that's occurring, and it will be a tight angle, and it will be difficult. Okay, there will be losses of lives. There will be people that get it, and the number of people that get that virus will go up. And this is lasting all of winter for those of us who are here in the United States. It goes from October 26th, this angle, October 26th, all the way until February of 2021. So there's an additional 4 months that we're looking at of stronger pandemic frequencies. Now, November also brings with it the new moon energy. This is a time of wishing, a time of intention setting, a time of prayer. It is the sun and the moon together. 23 degrees in Scorpio energy, okay? Scorpio energy is people you're really deeply bonded to. You're emotionally bonded. You likely have some past life history with these people, or these are people that you have history with from childhood. You're related to them in some way, right? There's this bond that happens. Many people say that it's people that you're related to physically, because many times Scorpio energy represents an inheritance, represents money coming in, because it's someone that you are related to. But it is also this energetic depth, soulful layers, right? Cellular layers, deep cellular layers. You have bonds with others because your souls have connections. You have cellular bonds. And when we have this in a new moon, it's a time to heal some energetic bonds that had energetic wounds involved with them. People don't realize it, but typically, I used to do a bunch of ghost hunting when I first got into all this work. When you would go to a place that was haunted, typically the energies that were there, I don't know how to explain it other than energy just is, whether you can see it or not. And there's energetic wounds. And an energetic wound is like a hole, right? It's like there's this heavy area that's stuck, and it's almost like a hole, like there's almost like a bullet wound in a sense, and it just stays stagnant. And depending upon what the event was that created this energetic impression that was so deep it left a wound, right? It leaves this hole. And usually it's a tragic event, right? Something very jarring, something not pleasant leaves a wound, right? And energetically, what would happen is this is what we would find in places where there were lingering beings, right? People who had already had passed out of the physical body, but were still stuck on the physical plane. right? There was an energetic memory left behind because of an event that was so strong and so powerful, it literally left an energetic scar in this location, okay? And so it's the same thing with our individual being. We have energetic scars within our energetic layers. And that's just the simplest way to talk about it, even though that might have sounded confusing. Energetic wounds that need healing, we typically are talking about Scorpio energy. And it's Scorpio energy because Pluto rules Scorpio. And so it's past life stuff. It's people we've had a lot of history with, but it's stuff that's really below the surface. We can't see the wounds on our body. They're energetic wounds. They're soul wounds, right? I might have had a history with you in the past and I still have scarring from it and it was never resolved. It's kind of like that. Think about it like that. Think about a relationship you had with somebody and it just, the break off was just not good, right? Words were not shared or nasty words were shared. And that just the separation was really bad, right? And it leaves scars because there's like no closure, right? There's no forgiveness involved in it. This Scorpio new moon presents the opportunity for that. It presents an opportunity to heal energetic bonds that were binding us. In other words, we can release people with this intention. We can release those other souls. It's like the energy, like our soul has gone through a cycle and it's ready to release. It's really ready to forgive. It's ready to say, thank you. We had some good times and we had some not so good times. But because of our total time we had together, I am this person now. I learned this and I'm grateful. And I can now release a lot of those memories, the good and the bad. I can walk away free. I can literally let go of those chains, of those memories, of those bonds that held me. I can be free. This location for you, this is in your 5th house. And so this 5th house is about your children, okay? It's about things you've created, but it's also about your romance, people you've been romantically involved with, romantic partners of the past. It's about anything to do with your childhood memories, okay? And not just childhood memories from this lifetime, all right? It's almost like when your soul was a child, when your soul was very young. That's how deep this goes. When your soul was very young. I want to have a good time. I want to laugh. I just want to play. I just want to have fun. Childlike, right? But it's an old thing, right? And it's not a bad thing, but it's an old thing. But it's an element of that you're ready to release. So maybe there's something you used to do from childhood. Maybe there's a memory you have that you need to let go of. Maybe there's dreams that you used to have that you have to somehow find peace in. And new moons are all about that. So understanding the Scorpio energy, understanding it is the phoenix rising up out of the ashes. It's this time of healing. It's the time of, I've been there, I've done that, I crashed, I burned, but I can somehow see the good in it and I end up sprouting wings and I end up flying and ascending and going to the opposite side of the Scorpio energy, which is I am now the light. I am high up in the sky. I can ascend. I have more knowledge, more wisdom because I've lived through those experiences and I can fly free. But my freedom and my experiences, my cellular knowledge can be used to help others, to shine and to talk about, put my light on what I experience can help others who are going through the same similar thing that you already went through. Use your cellular wisdom to help others ascend, to help them fly, to help them to be the phoenix. So you're setting your intention on November 14th. The new moon is November 14th at 11:08 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm in the US, so it might be on the 15th, depending upon where you live. Use that window of time that I gave you. Those are your hours of power. When you set an intention during those times, typically that is the strongest time of the intention setting. The strongest time. So use it as an experiment. If you think it's a bunch of hooey, that's fine, but use it as an experiment. And what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose?